For what purpose does the gentleman from Arkansas seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I claim time in opposition.
Gentleman's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume, and I rise in opposition to the DeGette Amendment number 456. This amendment would add the text of the so-called Protecting America's Wilderness and Public Lands Act, which would actually damage our environment and kill jobs in rural America. And by the way, I don't understand really what this bill has to do with defense and why gets made in order for the NDAA. This amendment creates nearly 1.5 million acres of new wilderness and designates over 1,200 miles of wild, scenic, and recreational rivers. For perspective, the wilderness designated in this bill is the same size as President Biden's home state of Delaware. Just days ago, we reached the ominous mark of over 5 million acres burned nationwide. This is double the 10-year average and nearly 3 times the amount of acres that were burned at this point last year. One fire that's largely contributed to this total is the Hermit's Peak fire, which is still burning in New Mexico as we debate here tonight. This fire, which is the largest in New Mexico state history, has burned over 340,000 acres and racked up $278 million in fire suppression costs. This fire started in the Pecos Wilderness area, which has not been properly managed and had significant fuel loads. Instead of this being a wake-up call, congressional Democrats are trying to double down on the failed strategy of locking up lands and throwing away the key less than 100 miles from where the Hermit's Peak fire is currently burning. Creating new wilderness doesn't just mean that catastrophic wildfires will be more likely. It means that these fires will also be more severe and put our brave wildland firefighters into harm's way. Many of these areas are too dangerous and burn too intensely to send firefighters in to fight. In contrast, areas that have previously received treatment are often places identified by firefighters as areas they can enter to start attacking a fire safely. We have a problem on our national forests is not going to be solved with handsaws and shovels. Now is not the time to rely on century-old management techniques stipulated by wilderness designations when over 80 million acres of Forest Service land is in desperate need of treatment. If that wasn't enough, this bill also designates lands as wilderness in the wildland-urban interface. This is a matter of life and death. Therefore, I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlewoman from Colorado is recognized.
I continue to reserve.
Gentlewoman reserves. Gentleman from Arkansas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes and 15 seconds to the gentlelady from Colorado, Ms.